All right. Okay. Day three, week two. We're going to do Flask today. So if anybody's not familiar with Flask, um, get ready to learn because this is a really cool, lightweight way to get your own web server going. Very lightweight. If anybody's familiar with Django from the full stack, Django's a big ORM that has it's a web server and many other things. And Flask is a super lightweight version. So I like to look at Flask as kind of like the Corvette of web servers, and then like Django. If you guys don't know what Django is, it's no big deal. You can ask GPT. It's taught in the full stack, and that's more like a moving truck. So you don't need a moving truck to set up a quick. I don't even use Django anymore. I'm always using Flask. So this is very, very useful for many different things. All right, so what did I just do? Why did I do that? All right, pardon me. All right, cool. So, what are we trying to accomplish? By learning how to create a web server with Flask that can handle GET requests and query a SQL database, a Postgres database, return you a response, you're equipping yourself with the fundamental skills to build a robust and dynamic web application. This is true. Like this really is a true statement. You're able to develop interactive, data-driven web services and provide real-time access to databases. This is invaluable for creating applications that display, manipulate, and serve data to users, whether it's for displaying product information, managing user accounts, presenting analytics, or many, many other cases. Really, the sky's the limit here. You can get very, very creative. Ultimately, this proficiency in web development using Flask and database integrations opens up a world of possibilities for creating powerful, user-friendly, and scalable web solutions. Also, totally agree with that statement. So our learning objectives, we're going to create a Flask server, and then we're going to understand what views and API views are. And then we're going to connect our Flask to PostgreSQL, and then we're going to comprehend, create, interact with models via an API. You guys did some, what did you guys do last? Did you guys get into Postgres? Yeah, you guys did get into Postgres. Did you guys actually spin up Postgres? Start the service on your guys' machine?
Yes.
You did? Okay. All right, cool. I had some issues when I was going through this. It's like, oh, I have to use brew to start up the service. All right, cool. So you're not brand new to Postgres. The reason why we choose Postgres, it's enterprise grade. There's lots of different flavors of SQL out there, but Code Platoon is honed in on Postgres, and I can say definitely at my job, there's a lot of Postgres. There's a lot of other flavors, but Postgres is one of the big ones. All right. And this lecture is really just kind of like a lab. It's a lecture in a lab, so I like that as well. So please, you guys do need to walk through this with me. Um, all right, and let's see here. I'm going to, instead of flipping back and forth a million times, you guys all have access to this, so I'm not going to share this. I'm going to share my screen where I'm going to do my work. Does that sound like a plan? And you guys can let me know later. No, I like it when you show, I'm just trying to fill this out, but I think it'll be less chaotic if I just jump on over to the command line and get that going. Actually, yeah, we can do that here. All right. So don't mind me. I was actually playing with I've got a little bonus thing I want to talk to you guys after class. Little bonus talk. I watched a really cool interview. It's like a 2 hour interview with one of the ex-heads of OpenAI's AI division. And it's kind of like, well, I'll talk about it afterwards, but I was the way I wrote this code is a little bit different using autocomplete rather than just full vibe coding. But we'll talk about that afterwards. All right. Okay, so first things first, what do we need to do? Jesse, what do we do first here? How do we get going?
What are we doing? We got our virtual environment set up. Are
Yes,
we?
sir. Yeah, we got to set up our virtual environment. That's pretty standard. You're going to be doing that a lot. Anytime you're working with Python, you're probably going to be creating a virtual environment. All right. So let's just get going. And well, first we also need to create a directory, right? So right now I am just in this basic directory, week 2, day 3. I'm going to create another directory like our directions. Say Flask server. I'm going to cd into that. Right now we're in our Flask server directory that we just created. And now we're going to make our V. So mine might, if you guys see my commands look a little bit different when I source this, that's just because I'm using fish. This should be the same here. You guys all know how to do this, right? Everybody's good on making virtual environments. Should be good at that by now. And then see how mine's a little different with fish. It's not source, bin, activate, but it's pretty close. All right, now I'm in my V, and now we can get going. All right, so Flask is just well, it's two things. It's a Python package. It's actually a library, but well, the way we're interacting with it's a Python package. And so we're going to need to install that into our virtual environment. That's why we created it. And just in case we didn't talk about this, I'm sure we already have. Why do we create the virtual environment? There are different versions of Flask, and so there are different versions of all kinds of packages, and they change as they get updated. And so you might write an application that's using today's standards and then not want to have to deal with refactoring your code for all the updated dependencies. And so you use a virtual environment for that. So you can have multiple, you don't install it locally to your machine, you install it in a virtual environment. So you want to try to avoid a lot of global installs to your machine. All right, so we're going to do a pip install Flask. And again, this is going into our virtual environment. So that becomes part of our environment. All right. And then given some starter code. So you guys can do like the code and the name of the file. I actually don't have that set up. It'll just spin up my Xcode and I don't want to do that. So I just use Nano. I'm a big Nano guy. Nano is just a text editor. And so if you just do Nano and then the name of the file, what are we supposed to call this thing? Did we even say in the directions to give it a name? No. All right. Well, I'm just going to call it app.py. And then I'm going to paste that starter code in here and save it. And you'll see that that file should pop up here. All right. Just so you guys can that's my editor there, so you can keep an eye on it. All right. So what does this code do? All right. So things in here get a little confusing. I'm always confused by this little blurb here and this little bit here. You don't need to master Flask, but you just need to know how to set this up. But I'll give a brief kind of overview of what's going on here. And I actually have some better notes. One second. It's the same. All right.
Hey
Okay.
Chad, before you
Yeah.
continue, can you make your terminal text
Yeah,
bigger?
for sure. Thank you for letting me know. I don't need that. And we don't need all this. How's that look? Is that a little bit bigger? I can make it bigger. Which bar?
I think that might be good. It was just a student had commented,
Yeah,
so
for
I think it might
sure.
be
I
good.
don't see the chat, guys. I'm really bad about that. I probably will never get good at that. How do I want to close this panel. I had figured this out the other day. It's not you. There, that one. All right. How's that? Can everybody see? Speak up. You guys can definitely interrupt me. Just unmute and just interrupt me. And please do. Please do. I'm not going to be frustrated by that. That'll help me. I don't actually know how people are able to monitor chat and do all this at the same time. Um, okay, so real quick, I'm not going to dive super deep. If you get really confused on any of these pieces, GPT can give you a better explanation. Google can give you a better explanation. But all we're doing here is we're importing. So we installed Flask. So now we're actually doing some imports from Flask. So we're getting JSONify and Flask out of it. I know that's confusing, Flask and Flask. You'll get used to that. And so we're using that here. And the way that I understand this, and I've never truly been able, had anybody's ever really been able to explain this. If somebody has a better explanation for this, let me know. I'm pulling out my notes here. All right, so what we're doing here is we're just initializing the app object. So we're creating an object this is a bunch of magic here, right? This is what we imported. So there's a bunch of magic that's happening here in that package that we imported. And we're just creating this. This is basically creating our app here. So these are the imports that we're using right here. And this obviously this file is going to grow as we go through this lab. And this is just because Python's modular, and so things get pulled in and imported to other files. And so just like we're importing dependencies, you can have multiple files, say here, and like other Py files, and you can pull it in. So the idea here is, and it even says it here, basically prevents the code block from being run as a module import, and it just makes you run it as a execute strip manually. And then the stuff that you really, really need to really pay. This is very boilerplate, by the way. This is boilerplate, very, very boilerplate, boilerplate. This is the options you guys actually want to learn. Here's where you'll actually make changes. Debug equals true is what we'll do right now, but if whenever you guys or anybody pushes anything up to production, so you're going to turn debug to false because this allows you to basically peek inside of the application and get logs and everything, and it makes it very insecure. But while you're creating it and debugging and working on it locally, you always want to have this as true. And then we can set this to whatever port we want. But if you get below, I can't remember what port, those are basically privileged ports. So generally you'll see these Flask apps running on like port 5000 is very normal, or port 8000. You won't see it running on like port 20. Um, and for those of you that don't know what ports are, just a real like an analogy, the way that I look at it is like think of it as like a box, and then the box that has tiny little holes all poked through the whole box has all these little holes, right? Thousands of them. Those are your ports. And you can set things to listen on those ports, or you can completely block those ports. What we're doing is we're saying, okay, this Flask app is going to listen on port 8000 on our local host. And we'll see this play out when we start spinning this up and then checking it out in the web browser. All right, so this is just our like little boilerplate, and let me keep on going. Any questions so far? Again, don't look at this and be like, I need to understand exactly what this means and exactly what all, just don't worry, don't worry. It's more about the options. All right, so it even gives a little explanation here. Flask name, this creates a Flask app object. The name argument tells Flask the name of the current module. And then in Python, when you run a script, the script's namespace is set to main. And when a module is imported, it's set to the name of the module. To me, that's still confusing as hell. So again, don't go down a big dark hole of like, I don't understand this. You just need to be able to use Flask. By passing name, Flask knows where to find templates, static files, and other resources relative to the application. Finally, we start the Flask app with app.run debug equals true for debugging purposes. And then to run the server, say the script is a .py file, and then just execute it. Before we do that, does anybody have a better explanation? Is there any super hardcore Flask pros that can explain what I didn't explain very well? I don't think that the explanation is that intuitive. Can anybody have a better intuitive way to explain this chunk or even this chunk? If not, I'll keep going. Okay, cool. Again, it's not a big deal. You don't really need to know like the deep logic of it. I use Flask all the time. I never even look at this stuff. I just boilerplate it in. All right, so let's get this guy running. Mhm. Right, and this is how you know it's running. And if you have any errors, so you should actually be able to create an error. All right, you see how it died instantly? Because this code is live and it's like, oh, this is some bull. This isn't a correct. This is why the debugging is really nice. So you take that back. It's not going to restart, but if I restart it, it's good. All right. And so when I was talking about serving on a port, and so if you can option click this, or you can just copy it. And I will go pull this up for you guys. Sec. All right. Has anybody got that started? And if you have got it started, tell me when you go to the web page what it's displaying. Anybody?
Not found.
Excellent. All right, cool. Do you know why, Nick? You have an idea why, Nick?
That path isn't that route isn't registered to anything.
Yeah, there's no routes here. So it's just like, hey, we've got the Flask app running, and I'll show everybody should be seeing this right here. So hold on a sec. I will do a little bit of flipping back and forth because we do need to see the browser. So this is running, but there's no routes here. There's nothing being served basically. And so you can even see when we hit that, right? When you navigate to it, I can even refresh it. You should be able to see it. Should. Yeah, I threw another one down there, right? So every time you refresh the page, you're going to get these 404 errors. And that's not a big deal. It just means we don't have a route yet, which is what we're going to do next. Sorry. All right. Okay. Yeah. And then it even says, is the script running exactly as it should be? It's running, but it's not doing anything for us. At this point, it's worthless. Um, but we know that it's running. And that's the key thing. Now, before I get going, is everybody to this point? Okay.
No,
Who's not?
I'm not George.
George?
Yeah, whenever I go do from Flask, import Flask, the JSONify, it doesn't recognize that. It says command not found from.
Okay. And so you have your virtual environment up, right? So when you look on your console, you can see your virtual environment here.
It has, I'll share my screen. Oh no.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll stop sharing. I'll pause and stop sharing. Please remind me to restart that when I go. All right.
So here I did install that pip, and then when I go, which is the next step from Flask, import Flask, JSONify, it'll tell me from is not found.
Can you type in, just for my sanity here, just type in history and hit enter?
Chad,
What do you
real
see,
quick.
Mike?
Wait.
Do you see it? Yeah, I haven't even
He's
really looked yet. So if you see the error, yeah, go ahead.
he's he's doing it outside of the
Oh,
Python
yeah.
in
I get it.
in
So
environment.
yes. Are you doing this from the command line? Go ahead and hit history though, and George, I want to see that's kind of what I was wanting to see here. So then just hit enter there. Yeah. I think I saw this in your help ticket that you submitted yesterday. And this is completely understandable. I used to do this too. So what you're doing is you need to basically when you're in the terminal, you're going to be executing the file in the terminal, but you're not going to be running the commands that the code in the terminal. You can actually do that if you had a Python terminal, but it's just a huge pain. So what we need to do here is, okay, I see you've got the way that I would do this, and probably I don't know if we've talked to you guys about how to organize your work. So you've got your Delta repo here, which is great. But if I was you guys, I would have a completely separate workspace that has nothing to do with this repo. And kind of like when I go back and I share my screen, you'll see I just had basically a folder with a file inside of it. That'll help you guys a lot not get confused. So when I look at your file tree on the left-hand side, I just see all these things, right? And when you're working, you want to try and minimize that. So when you're working in an application, when you're developing, I know this is not a developing class, but when you develop things, you try to develop things modularly. So instead of pulling in everything and trying to work on everything at once, you try to work on pieces, small pieces at a time. And then you eventually pull everything and you make your big full application. So you make your life easier if you're working in a repo or if you're working in a workspace in VS Code that's pretty clean and bare. So I would do like I would have a directory. I'd have a folder for every week. And then every week I'd have another subfolder for the days. You guys can do it however you want, but that will help. So yeah, what you've got going on here, George, is where did you put that starter code? That was pasted. Because some other people might be also doing the same thing, so this will be good to kind of go over. So on 2B, where it says writing starter code, where did you paste that? Did you create a Python file?
Two.
If you scroll up a little bit, I don't see it. I'll see it in your history. I see you make, no, you didn't. So okay, yeah, you actually made, stay right there. So you made your Flask directory, you seed into it, you made your virtual environment. Okay, so go ahead and scroll back down. We're good. You don't need to worry about your file tree right now, but go ahead and do an ls from where you're at right now. Just ls enter. Interesting. Do a pwd. Okay. Why is your pen there? Okay. All right. Do a cd dot dot, cd space dot dot, and then enter, and then do an ls. Okay. All right. I'm thinking. All right. So what's in that students directory? Do an ls of just an ls space students. Okay. All right. Don't worry about that. All right. So you're going to cd back into that. Actually, you know what? Do a rm space dash rf, now space, and shoot, what was it called? Just type in
Flask dash
Flask.
server.
Yeah, Flask. Just type in Flask and then now hit tab. Just hit tab. It should auto complete. All right, then hit enter. That's going to remove that. It's going to wipe that thing out. I don't know what's going on there. All right, so now you're going to go ahead and recreate it. So you're going to do the make dir Flask server mkdir. All right, cool. And then you can enter there and then cd into that directory. Let's just change directory into that directory. Also, I highly suggest you guys start getting used to the tabbing, the auto tab. That's super, super helpful. All right, so now just do an ls just for sanity's sake. That should be empty. All right, so now you're going to do your make your virtual environment. So your Python -m v space. Yeah, there you go. And then space v. Oh, uh, that's okay. Sometimes it'll test. So if you want to basically autocomplete when you're trying to like go into directories or find files. Perfect. Perfect. That's good. You can hit enter there. And then you're going to want to ahead and source that. So source ben activate. Oh, you know what? Do you have an additional virtual environment somewhere? Okay, just go ahead and do that. Source, and then, I'm sorry. Go ahead and source that.
The source?
Yeah,
What?
source and then ben / activate. All right. Okay. All right. Now do an ls.
Um, Chad,
Yeah.
why why was his virtual environment made with a dot?
Yeah, that is kind of weird. I don't know why I was
Why-
looking at that too. You should just do, yeah, and I don't know why it
I
is
think that's why
funky.
it's putting it in this
Yeah,
folder.
it's very strange. I don't know who did this, like creating this virtual environment. That's pretty terrible, to be honest. Sorry, George, I'm gonna have you blow that away again. So if you just tab up, this is good though, reps. So you just, I'm sorry, not tab up, but arrow up until you see the one where I see the RMRF. Go ahead and click on that. At first, yeah, go ahead and then I just don't even see his virtual environment. That's the weird thing. And now I'll do cd dot dot space dot dot and then do an ls. Okay. Do the RMR, remove that Flask server again, that directory. And I think we also need to deactivate your virtual environment. It's weird. Your virtual environment's not showing up, which is really strange. On your file tree on the left-hand side, George, for time's sake, you have to do rm
Yeah,
dash rf.
yeah.
Yeah. No, rm dash rf. It won't, remove directory won't work unless it's empty. All right. Okay, you can hit enter now. Now, on the upper left-hand side there, okay, just go ahead and hit deactivate. It's what, deactivate VNV. I think that's the right command, right, to kill a virtual environment. I usually just blow them away by deleting them, but do a deactivate. Just type deactivate.
He also has a directory in there called venv
Yeah.
that that can also be removed?
Yeah. So now just do VENV right now. Actually, what did you name it? Yeah.
It's deactivate. It's
Yeah,
just
just hit
deactivate.
enter and it should remove your, okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, now that was the issue. You were in the virtual environment the whole time. No problem. All right, now do an ls, make sure that that directory is no longer there. Okay, good. Recreate that directory. You're just basically following the directions from the README. You're just going to do the make Flask directory, the CD into it, and then you're not going to do, can we get a pull request to change that? That that's terrible. So when you're making a virtual environment, you're just going to do Python -m venv space venv. Nice. Yeah, and then don't follow. Yeah, so do basically where it says the dot, you're going to just do another venv. Now, exactly. And after that, just put another venv with one space after that.
Another VNV.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So anytime you do it, George, you make a virtual environment, do it this way. I'm sorry for that. I don't know why that's in the directions there. So go ahead and hit enter. I think what we were doing was we were creating virtual environments inside of an activated virtual environment because you were in a virtual environment when we started. I'm seeing that now. Go ahead and hit enter and then source that. Yeah, bin activate.
Uh, you're probably gonna need to put
That's
It's
VE and V in
misspelled.
front of it.
Yeah.
Chad. That's not on the lesson for the README. It doesn't say to make the virtual environment with a dot.
I see it right here in front of me. And the
Which
reminder,
wait a minute.
check that reminder drop down.
It's gonna be
Remind.
source space VENV slash
Oh,
bin slash activate.
now I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I will fix.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was like I've never seen that before, and it's kind of just like slipped past me. But I don't really actually think I think you can create a virtual environment. It's the same create your virtual environment, everything that's right here, but whatever. All right, you can hit enter now, George. That should create your virtual environment. All right, now we're good. Now do an ls. You should see that virtual environment now. There it is. Okay, that was what was screwing me up. We were like nested virtual environments. I think we're good now. Okay. All right, moving forward now, you're having an issue with stalling Flask, Eric? Okay, that's perfect because that's what we're doing right now. What I'm going to do, we're going to get George going, and I'm going to jump back into the lecture because we do need to get through this, and then we're going to circle back and help the folks that can. Or we'll be here all night like I held you guys last night. So go ahead and do the pip install Flask, George. And then,
Okay.
but what I wanted to show you is you can share again, George. I want to
Okay.
get you going because there's basically where we're at where you need to be. So go ahead and share one more time. What's not in this code, what's not in this README is like, hey, you need to make a Python file. That's a little confusing. All right. So George, now you want to do, we need to make that Python file, and then you're going to drop that starter code in there. So I don't know if you have Nano installed. Um, Down there, and try typing Nano and then space app.py. It's probably not going to work. Actually, it might work. And then just
Nano app.
app.py. Yeah, basically you're creating, no, I'm sorry, app. A general name for Python applications is app.py. It's like the generic placeholder. And then
Dot py.
py,
Oh, the Python. Okay.
Python file. Hit enter. All right, now copy that starter code and paste it in there. This is Nano, so it's going to be a little weird. Nope, you need that whole, there's a tooltip that you can click that'll just copy the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely everything there. The
Yeah,
little
yeah, you
text.
want that whole thing. So you see on the right-hand side, there's two little squares. That's a little like copy and paste tooltip. There you go. There you go. That's totally fine. All right. Ooh. All right. Don't love the way that that looks. I also don't think it's all, is it all there? Yeah. Okay. All right. Go ahead and now you're going to hit Control, hold down Control and hit X. Or I don't know, you're on a Mac, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just Control X and that will now hit enter. I'm sorry, hit Y, and now hit enter. All right, now you've saved that file. And again, if you had a clean file tree on the left-hand side, you didn't have all that stuff there, you'd easily see, oh, there's my file right there. So right now, it kind of almost makes your file tree unusable because I don't even know where it's at. Maybe it's lower. I don't know. I'm guessing it's at the bottom of that. Okay, so uh, yeah, that's something you're going to want to start doing in the future. Is not working out of this repo, but creating a whole brand new workspace. That'll help you a ton. Don't worry about it too much. I don't know where it's at. But anyway, so you've got that file's created. So now go ahead and do a Python. Just type Python. You're going to run that file and then space app.py. You can just type AP and then autocomplete. Just tab it. All right, now let's see if I'm wondering if your formatting is wrong. Go ahead and hit enter. It'll let us know right away. No, it's good. So if you go ahead and go on your browser to HTTP, if you can just copy that where it says running on 127.0.0.0.1.8.000, you can copy that or you can click on it and it should open up your browser. And then it's going to be like nothing there. I can't remember what it says. It's basically an error. There's nothing to show. It's a 404. All right,
Oh, okay.
so who else is having issues with Flask? Can you go ahead and stop sharing, George? And then just really quick, who was having issues? Let's get you going. You can go ahead and just share. I didn't catch who it was, sorry. Eric. Okay. All right. All right, Eric. Do me a favor, Eric, and do the same thing. Just do a history. All right, 1 second. I don't see where you didn't source your VNV. That's what it looks like to me. Yeah, and you're definitely not in a virtual environment right now. So just go ahead and do that source command that's in the README. It's in that little drop-down source bin activate. I think it's a little bit above that, just up a little bit. And it's like a little drop-down. See where it says reminder? Yeah, right there. And you just want that last line. That's all you need, the source. Basically, what's happening is you're creating a virtual environment, but that virtual environment's not being used until you source it. And sourcing it just means we're going to work inside that virtual environment now. All right, see how now we have
Yep.
a VENV that precedes your name. Now, if you do the pip install Flask, see what happens. All right, I didn't catch your error. Did you get this far last time?
No,
Okay.
I wasn't. I apparently wasn't in the virtual environment
Yep,
and
yep, no
didn't know it.
problem. You could, and I'd have to dig into why that didn't work. You can actually install Flask to your local global system. You might be having another version installed or something. I don't know, but we won't dig into that. So now you're good to just
Yep.
grab that starter code, create your file, and you're good to go.
Cool. Thank you.
Anybody else while we're at it? Might as well knock it out. All right, cool. That was good stuff. I'm glad that people got to see that. All right. Okay, sharing, and I'll start the recording again. And I appreciate you guys asking questions. All right. Optimize for video sharing. I wonder if that will help you guys see. Okay, record. All right, I think I'm recording. It didn't say anything though. Gosh. All right,
Yes, it's showing that you're recording on
appreciate that.
mine.
Thank you, thank you. I hit resume and usually it says, recording, but all right.
Chad, real quick,
Yeah,
for that reminder for the virtual environment, would you like me to add a note because I can see somewhat of what they're doing by using the dot. It's installing it in their current working
yeah,
directory. That's
yeah.
that's instead of
Yeah, and when I saw it, I was like, well, this
having.
is going to work, but I think it's a little confusing for beginners though, don't
Okay.
you? Yeah, I
Yes,
don't
I
know.
mean,
Yeah, for me, I was just like, oh, when you pointed that out, I was like, that is a little different. That's not the normal traditional way to do a virtual environment, at least that I know of. That's like a smart way maybe, but I don't like to get clever in the beginning, right? Why do we don't need to make it more complicated, maybe.
okay, got it.
Yeah,
Got
okay.
it. We'll
And
keep
then
it simple.
Maybe Julius will say, no, we're not doing it that way. We're going to do it this way. And then he'll have a reason why, and we'll do it that way. But yeah. Um, all right, cool, cool. All right, so we're moving on now. We are at creating views. I think everybody's set up. Are you, Eric, you're probably getting pretty close to that point, I'm guessing, but you'll be able to catch up with the video later. All right, so
Yeah, that's not a problem.
okay, cool. Creating views. So in Flask, views are the functions that respond to requests from clients. These views are mapped to specific URLs and HTTP methods using decorators. For example, app.route /decorator in the previous code snippet binds the index function to the root URL, which do we have? Was that even in there? There was no route. That's We'll see that coming to place. That's an issue with the curriculum there, so no big deal because we don't actually have that decorator in the code. So API views in Flask are similar to regular views, but are specifically designed to return data in a format suitable for consumption by other apps. This often means returning data in JSON format. That's JSON is the format. You want to really know your JSON. Here's an example of creating an API view in Flask. So the answer to your question at the end of the last part should have been yes, by the way, if you were seeing not found. Why? Because you haven't created a view yet. We don't have a view or a route. They're talking about routes being in the previous code snippet. There aren't any routes. The routes are right here. So when we create a view using the app.route decorator for the landing page. And so go ahead and copy that but where do you place it, right? So we got this code. So where the heck do you place this route? Can you just drop it anywhere? Can I just drop the route down here? We can try, right? So if you look down here, that's why this debugger is so awesome. It's right now our app is running, right? It's in our terminal and it's running. So let's drop this route down here and just see what happens. Honestly, it's actually still running, which is crazy. I would have thought that it would have crashed but maybe not. Let's see if this works. So we've created a route and it's just /route. So if we go to our endpoint, right, which is here, and then that's just the root, right? So it should just be like, okay, we should see hello world there. I'm actually surprised it's seeing the route. Yeah, I was gonna say it's not gonna find the route. The app ends here, right? So now I thought that would kick an error, but I kind of think I know why. So what if we drop it up here? What's going to happen? Is that going to work? Is that going to work, you think?
Too early.
Yeah, it's not going to work. Let's just prove it though. Yeah, see, not working. It's like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that at all because we haven't created our Flask app yet. So the order does matter. And that's kind of when you guys are doing your challenges later and actually the next lesson, there's a little bit of like, okay, we don't tell you exactly where the stuff needs to go. So let's drop it here. And yeah, I won't get into that later, but okay, so now we have a route. This should work. We're still running down here. All right, and let's do a refresh. Why does it? Oh, you know what? I wonder, do I need to kill it and just restart it? Yeah, see, there's our error. Maybe I wasn't scrolled down enough. Yeah, see, we do have errors here. All right, now let's try. Now it's working. So if you get that issue, so like say you're trying, you change your code, it's reloading, but it's not working, you can always just do a control C down here and that'll kill it and then just restart it back up. So now you can see the hello world here, right? And it's just at the root. You don't actually have to put the / there, but that is basically the root. All right. And so you can see basically, let's look at this route real quick. So this is a decorator. And so anytime you make a route, you're going to throw this guy up here and then your route would go in here. So we could change this to be like home. All right. Now, if we go here, it shouldn't be working, right? This should go away because we're not at home. And so if you do a / home, then we're there. So it's very literal. These are very, very literal. There's not a lot of magic going on here. And so that's all this is. So I'm going to take that back. All right. These are how you build your routes. And what else is going on here? So we're just defining this index function and it doesn't take any arguments. And so we're just saying, hey, data, we're creating a variable and we're saying it equals to hello world. And then we're returning that, but we're JSONifying it first. So we're taking this and putting it into a JSON. Basically, we're running the JSONify function on data. And what is data? Data is hello world. So it's basically just, because I took that away. JSON is basically the structure of the internet. So it's dropping it in here for us, JSONifying it. All right, so that's one round down. Everybody got this? How you doing, George? You getting this to show? No big deal if you're not. No worries. We can always circle back afterwards and I can help you out. Is is some people getting this to show? We got a few folks getting this working. All right, cool. I'll circle back at the end, George, when we stop recording, and I can help you out, brother. No problem.
Thank
Don't
you.
worry about it. Just try to follow as best you can here. Work
Yeah.
through it. All right, cool. So now we've created our first route, and yeah, there's the explanation. So app route sets the URL path to append to the base path, and then the index function returns a welcome message. All right, and so now let's try viewing this page again in your browser, which we just did. All right, now we're going to create some sample data. All right, so creating some data here. We're kind of mimicking a database, which you guys already talked about, but we're going to do this first before we start working with the database. Same kind of idea though. All right. Same idea here. So we've got to figure out where does the student's object go and where does this route go? Well, we can plug these in. Should be able to plug these in actually, like right. I don't want to do them both together. I kind of want to put my route here and my object above my route. Keeping my routes together. I'm gonna put my object here. And then now, if we go to the /students in our browser, we should see some stuff or what's actually happened. Let's see if it's working, and then I'll come back and explain this. So we just go to /students. Didn't work. Why didn't it work? Probably where I placed it. Students. Let's see. Maybe the object. Interesting. Oh, here's our error. What I was talking about the debug, right? This is the beauty of it. All right, saying app not found, line 2. Am I referring to the app? What? Well, let's see what my error is. Okay. Again, it gets a little funky, gets a little weird. Just restart Flasks. Kill it, restart it. That should be like the first thing you do. It's real simple. Control C. I had to actually do exit. So I don't know what was going on there. This is kind of a weird error. If anybody gets this error, let me know. Oh, I know what happened. So I dropped something in. And then, so we got to be careful when we're editing these files. So I dropped this guy in. I know exactly what happened. So I pasted this in and I had the student's object below it, right? So students right here. So that it's looking for that, right? Well, when I cut this out and I pasted it up above, all of a sudden the student's object didn't exist anymore. We could see that again if I was to remove that because we're creating the student's object right here, this variable, and it's called here. So if you don't have that, it's going to die on you. So when you're editing these Flask apps live, you might get some errors. Hope that makes sense to you guys. All right, so we have, I don't know why that's not working either. There we go. Okay, so there's an ugly, and that is pretty, basically. And we've got our object here, and you can see fun stuff there. Bob, Jane, and John. So how does this thing work? So this is where you guys need to pay attention because your challenges really do like fall on making some logic. We're giving you the very simple stuff here, and you guys are actually going to have to do some logic, some good stuff. All right, so what is happening? We've created another route, and we've made it /students, but we're using a method, an HTTP method. So the method is get, and what we got going on here is we created this function, just like we created a function up here. It's called get students, and it returns the JSONified students object, which is right here. pretty straightforward and simple stuff. All right. Anybody have a question on that? Is it working for the folks that it's been working for? Again, if you get stuck, like if it's giving you errors, you're going here and you're like, oh, this is not working what it should, go ahead and just kill your Flask app, tab up, restart it. Okay. All right, so the explanation, it says we define a list of student dictionaries to serve as our data source. The get students function returns the list of students as a JSON using JSONify. What is JSONify? We ported it up here and it just makes things nice, pretty. It would look, we're just making it like pretty, basically. JSONifying the hell out of it. All right, so it says try visiting the new route in your browser, which we just did. Yeah, what do you notice about this route that makes it different than the previous one? Well, it's a get route. Got a get method in it, right? So there's a get method here. And so it's saying try sending a request to this terminal, a curl request. And so if you use that little reminder right there, it's got the curl request right there for you. You can just copy and paste. So we can't now, here's something you guys might be like, well, what the heck do I do? How do I type that in here? You got to keep this server running. So you could do something like detached. I don't know if you can do detached mode. I'm not gonna go down that road. You can run stuff in attached mode, but right, this is attached mode where it takes over the terminal. You need this terminal, so you can't just like kill it and then try your curl, because this is what will happen. If you try this curl command, it's gonna be like, nope, there's nothing there. There's nothing listening on port 8000. Well, your server's not running. So we're gonna start that back up, open up another terminal. All right, another terminal, and then run your curl. So it's going to give you your same thing that you see on the front end. Curl is extremely powerful. I use it all the time. Devs doesn't. I don't think. I don't know. Do you use curl, Mike and Kimberly, at work? Mike's busy. I'm just curious if you guys use curl much. I do a ton of curling. Um,
Hey,
yeah.
Chad.
Go ahead, Mike.
Um, I have not used curl at work. When I was in class, I did. But as far as at work, I didn't.
No worries, no worries. So these curl commands can get really complex, but they allow you to test endpoints, right? API endpoints from your command line. Because if you don't use curl in the terminal, you got to have some sort of way to interact with that endpoint, right? So what is Flask doing? Flask we call it spinning up or spun up, but it's basically I think of these servers as these like little engines that are spinning, right? And so Flask is over here just spinning and listening, and it's listening on port 8000. And you can see our get command here was successful, right? I'll do another one to kind of see, like it'll be another. So what we're doing is, this should look familiar. This is the endpoint that it gave us, and this is the port that we're running on, and this is the route that we created. And so all this is just curl is just a terminal command. This is just like it's just a flag that allows you to do it. And then there's the get command that we are talking about, that get HTTP response, right? This request. So right here we got get. So we're actually just running a get. We're hitting this route properly, and it returns back what it's supposed to return. It just returns this JSONified. And we can see again, if you go back over here, it hit it again. Now there's two, right? There's two here. Now, if I go to the browser, it's doing the same thing. So if I go here, and let me just do a refresh. Now we should see how there's a bunch more. If I just sit here and just like refresh a bunch of times, see how there's just every time I refresh, it's doing the same thing that curls do. So if you guys are developers or system I don't know how you would get away with not using curl eventually. Extremely helpful stuff. So they just kind of mentioned there, do a curl, but down the road, maybe not right now, but down the road, keep that in the back of your mind. Curl is extremely powerful. Oh, I'm killing my server. All right, cool. So we're done with this part of the lesson. So the next part, we're going to connect to a Postgres database. Because it says in most scenarios, it doesn't make sense to hard code data into your code base, which is what we just did here. We hard coded this stuff. I mean, it could be useful for certain things, but if like, what if we get another student or their grade changes or they get older? To change this, you literally got to go change your Flask app code, all this hard coded stuff. It's better to have a database. And so what we're going to be doing next is removing the data and adding some logic that will connect us to our database, literally connect it. It'll talk to each other, doing the same thing, but the data won't live inside the Flask app. All right. So, yeah. How do you guys feel about, you guys want to break for the next chunk? 6:30. Gosh, that still took me longer. I wanted to be done with both of the lessons by now. I'm slow. I'll get faster, guys, but do you guys want a quick break or you want to keep going? We can blow through this next part, I think. All right.
Let's just keep going.
What was that?
Let's just keep going.
All right, cool. I'm going to keep
Wrap
going
up,
then.
but keep going.
Yeah, I'll keep going. And obviously, if you guys need to step away for a second and come back, don't worry. It's all good. All right, so we're going to move on to this next chunk. This is the last bit of the lecture here. Okay, so connecting Flask to a PostgreSQL database. So instead of hard coding our data like Neanderthals, let's connect our Flask server to PostgreSQL database named students and retrieve data from it. And we will use a schema and the data you provide. All right, I created some of my own data. Now, this is confusing. I was looking at this yesterday. Not confused in what it's trying to show, confusing that this has nothing to do with what we're going to be dealing with students and a student's database and a student's table. There's none of that here. But what this is showing and what they're trying to show with this visual is relationships. Because PostgreSQL is a relational database. And what does that mean? It just means that, well, actually, let me share this screen now. 1 second. I'm talking, you guys can't see this. This is what I'm talking about. So this does not match what we're doing down below, but it is a good representation of a relational database and how that works. So relational databases have different relations. And so some of them are, so you have a relation where something called a one-to-one relationship. And that's the most simple relationship to understand. And that's this concept of the social security number and an employee. Every employee should only have one social security number, and every social security number should only belong to one employee. So that's a one-to-one relationship. All right. Other relationships that you have a one-to-many relationship. So one-to-many is you got a single employee will have many shifts. Now you see these little claws down here that's how they're representing the many. So this would be one, one. This would be many, right? So this has one employee, so one to many relationship. And you've got genre. Well, it's a one to many right here. And then you've got a many to one. So genres, many game or games have many genres, right? What's not shown here is a many to many relationship that I don't see. So that's where this is kind of lacking. So you can have a many to many relationship. And so those are relationships, one to many, and many to one is just the reverse, and then many to many. Those I don't think you guys will be getting too deep into creating your own databases. These can get super, super complex. When you have those many to many relationships, you have to have something called a join table, but we're not getting into that here. Just know that relations exist inside of a database, and we're going to create some of those right now, so you'll kind of get to see that. What you should do after the fact, I don't know if this is in your challenges, I'll look, is you guys should build a database, but before you build it, you should actually do a little diagram like this. We won't have to do that now. That's when you're actually building an app. Your database is going to have multiple tables, blah, blah, blah. These little guys are super, super handy, and they've got a bunch of different draw tools that you can use. All right. But anyways, I won't stick too much time on that. If you guys have any more questions on that, just ask. All right. So yeah, this is what we're talking about here. So before delving into Flask and Postgres integration, let's briefly review SQL schemas and relationships. So SQL, or structured query language, is a standard language for interacting with relational databases. A schema represents the structure of the database, including tables, fields, relationships between them. So in our example, we have tables such as game, genre, and employee, each with its own set of fields and relationships that defined through foreign keys. So like your fields, these are your fields. All right. So fields, foreign key, which is just the ID, And these are tables. So each one of these are considered a table. And this whole thing would be a database. So this whole thing would exist in a single database with multiple tables. All right, what did I do? Clicked on it. All right. So what we're going to do next in the same, so we're just continuing on the same project, same terminal. You're going to do another pip install. So you're going to pip install Flask Alchemy. I'm going to go ahead and move my directions back over and share terminal again. Okay. So I'm going to kill this thing. You guys can if you want, because my virtual environment is here, right? So if you did open another terminal to like run your curl command, just be very careful if you're going to run pip install Flask Alchemy that you go ahead and source your VNV. So just know that. All right. So I'm going to go back. Where was I at? Here, where I'm in my virtual environment. All I'm saying is make sure your virtual environment is activated and you know that because you'll see it right here. See that? So it went away. It's no longer active. And then sourcing it, and now it's active, just so people can see. All right, so make sure you're in your environment, your VNV, and then do a pip install Flask SQL Alchemy. This is just basically a client that allows Python to talk to Postgres. All right, looks good. And then secondly, we want to ensure our Python code is able to be interpreted as SQL queries and that our query results are able to be interpreted as Python code. In order to do this, we'll need to install scopg. It's just a Python library that facilitates seamless communication between Python programs and Postgres databases. We'll do this through pip. Basically, these two installs just allow Python to work with the database. That's how you can think of it. All right. All right, and then now this is probably the trickiest part of this lesson is we're giving another like starter code, but it's not complete. Um, so, but we'll go over it real quick. So basically, the explanation of this code is we need to add those additional imports. So originally we had this. So we're going to add another. I'm going to try to do this piecemeal instead of just copying everything in. All right, and I'll show you how this will break as we start doing it. So if I start my Flask app up while I'm working on it, this will probably error out. Okay, so I'm going to drop that in there. And we've already got this chunk here. And so this is super important. One thing to point out, because I feel like sometimes this gets a little confusing. So basically the username is username here, and the password is password, right? So when you create these, just make sure I think there's a command in there that basically has you create the table and a username with the password. So if we have any issues connecting, just make sure your username and your password are correct. All right. So you see this localhost. So localhost is just this. This represents localhost right here. And then /students, that should look very familiar. That was the route that we created previously. All right, so this is what's allowing us to connect. It's configuring it basically. It's like, okay, this is all the creds that you'll need to credentials that you'll need to connect with the SQL database because the database is locked down and secure. You just can't connect to it unless you don't, unless you have the correct credentials. All right, so and then we need to initialize the extension. So we imported Alchemy here, but we haven't used it, right? This is just a name, right? It's not anywhere in here. All right, so we can drop that in here. And now we're actually initializing the database by using this import. All right. And then now we've got the students, but we don't need this anymore. This is going to be going inside of our database, so we can remove that. And I'm actually surprised it's not just straight airing out because this doesn't exist anymore. All right, so got that in there. Okay, so the explanation here, we add the import SQL Alchemy beneath the Flask and JSON imports. We configure the Flask app to use PostgreSQL database by setting the app config SQL Alchemy database URI with the connection URL right here. Right? This is our URL here. And then so these are just being passed in, by the way. These are just being passed in as parameters. You should replace here, it even says you should replace username and password with your Postgres credentials. You can, or you can just leave them the same, however you want to do it. We initialize the SQL Alchemy extension with this line here. This basically creates our database. All right, and then or initializes. It's not created yet. All right, and then so now we have to actually create some stuff. Right. All right. I don't know if you guys haven't done this. I don't know if you guys were creating databases yesterday, but I'm going to, let's see here. I'm going to pull over my other terminal really quickly. So I was working on this yesterday, and I'm in the SQL terminal now. So I just wanted to show you, like, I had that, I actually did just use user. You can literally keep this user if you want to. And so I dropped it. I dropped that role so I could recreate it. And there's multiple ways that you guys can do this. You can create it within, I'm in the SQL terminal here. This is actually the PostgreSQL terminal. You can see it. Excellent. And so now I'm just to look familiar, all right? It should look very familiar. And to get into PostgreSQL terminal, you just go like that. So this is one way that you guys can do what we're going to do next. There's like three ways to get done what we need to get done here. So we need to create a database, and then we need to create a table. So I'm going to go ahead and kill my app, and I feel like, yeah, all right. So the way that I would, yeah, I can just do it right here from terminal. So this will create this database. And then this is this like username, right? So I think this will error out because I don't have that user anymore. Let me see. Yeah, there's no username, right? So you actually have to create a role unless you're just creating with your default SQL user. So what you can actually do, let me pull this up. If you want to create a new role and not just use your default, just grabbing my notes, you can do this. So this command will create a user. And you run this not inside SQL, but from your shell. So you can change it to whatever you want. I'm going to name it my cat. And then just going to name it password 123. And this will need to be inputted here, pretty sure. All right, so so what's happening here is I'm creating a user named Sketchy with the password. This is my password, and this is the permissions that it's given. So it can create a database. Whenever you're looking at SQL, if you see things in all caps, that's a command. That's how it shows you that like, that's a command. All right, so I'm going to create this user. So I've created a role with that password. So I got to remember that. All right, so if you guys want to create a role, you can do that. Because if you try to create, if you tried creating a database, then it doesn't work. So if I do this again, it's still not going to work because the user is sketchy, but I want to show you. Doesn't work. All right, but now if I change this, now it created it. When we go inside, you'll see there will be a student's database. Don't get confused here. We're creating a student's database, and in that database, we're going to create a student singular table. All right, so and if anybody has if anybody's Postgres is not working, you're on a Mac, I have no idea what to do on a Windows. I think you guys got all this working yesterday. You'll have to run this command. I think I could stop it too. I didn't want it to take forever. I thought this would be fast. Okay, so I've stopped Postgres, the service. So now like this won't work. So if I try to if say you're trying to work through this and you're like, Chad, it's not working. See, there's no SQL, right? It's just not working. So, but if I go start, and then do the same thing, it'll take me into my SQL shell. See? All right. Okay, cool. All right. So I'm going to work, I'm going to work in the shell. I'm actually going to work in the SQL shell. So if you look at your instructions, there's like three different ways to do this. I'm going to do it in the SQL shell. So I'm going to go on in here and I'm going to list my databases. Sorry, yeah, my databases. This list the databases, and there won't be a students one in here. Oh, there is. Oh, I just created it. I just created it. So let me kill it, and then I'll drop it and then bring it back. So okay, now it's not there. It's gone. Right? Okay. But if I want to create it from the terminal, here's the command. Okay, and then if we check, it's there again. Students, and it's owned by Sketchy. So you can see the owner, all these are just created by me, but I create a specific user. Just wanted to show you guys that you could do that. All right, and then so we've got this students database created, but there are no tables. All right, so how do we create tables? Well, we have to, within the SQL shell, you've got to connect to the database. And so this is the symbol for connect, and then this will connect you to any table, right? So I'm going to connect to the students table. All right, and then if I do DT, that'll list my relations. There's nothing because we haven't created it. It's just an empty database right now. So now we're going to seed the database. And the way that we seed the database is just by creating a table. So now the table is created. Now if I do a DT, you'll see we've got this table. I wonder, oh, I didn't name it. I'm logged in as my user. I wonder if that's going to screw me up. It might. We'll see. I might need to change. Let me see. We'll see if it blows me up, and if it does, I'll go back and here we go. Actually, if you want to alter table, okay, this would alter a database. Let me see if I can alter this table. Oh, because it's student. We created a student table. All right, this is the student table, not the students database. Confusing, I know. All right, so now I've altered this table, and if I do a DT, now it's owned by Sketchy. All right, so we've got our table created, but it doesn't have any information in it yet. So we've created the database and we've created the table in the database, but there's, as you can see here, there's nothing, right? If I did, oh my gosh, select, actually I got the command here, I need to type it. So this is your basic SQL. This would like see how everything's caps here, caps here. These are like commands. So this is basically saying select everything from student, the student table. And it's not going to have anything. So there's 0 rows. There's nothing in here. It's an empty table. So now we've got to seed the database. And this is a general way it works. You create the database. I'm sorry, you got to seed the table. You create a database, you put some tables on it, and then you seed it with some information. So there's information that you guys can seed from the curriculum, but I wanted to do something else. This is where AI is fun. So, all right. So I created a bunch of different entries, and you can see here it inserted 24. And then so now if I select all from students, you'll see there's 24 rows, 24 students. Some of them are 1,000 years old. You know, there's their grades. So now our table has been populated, right? It's been seeded. And so you can run all kinds of SQL queries against this table now. So you can do like Actually, I'm gonna just do. This is like you're gonna be guys are gonna be doing this for your lesson. It's like basically this is all logic. This is just all logic. So let's see. You can really get so remember I talked about if it's capitals, capital letters, if it's all caps, it's some sort of SQL command. If it's not, then it's going to be in the table somewhere. So this is the name of the table. This is a field inside of the table. A column, it's called a field. And then make sure when you're doing your SQL commands to add the semicolon. If you don't, it'll just do that. Don't stress, just do that. And then you're good. Why didn't that work? I guess you actually have to do it. My bad. Oh no, I didn't finish I just did where age. I didn't give it a conditional, right? So I was going to say where age is greater than 50. And then if you do the semicolon on the next side, it's going to work. This is how you close a command. All right, so there, everybody that's over 50, it shows in here, right? If you start thinking about this, you can start thinking, wow, you can really do some really cool things with logic and automation and databases and APIs. That's pretty much what I do. That's my forte, I guess. All right, so you could do like, okay, where age equals 1048. I think that's Wonder Woman, by the way. I don't know. Loki. Who is Loki Otison? Got it in my code here. Do you guys any superhero people? Anybody like superheroes in here? Trying to figure out who that was. Where's it at? Oh, right here. Loki
The
Otison.
Norse god.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, it's Loki. It's Loki. The name. These are good. The names are throwing me off. It's Loki.
Yes, he's burdened with glorious purpose.
Yeah, yeah. So this was all GPT. I was just like, I didn't want to do Bob, Sally, and Sue. It's like, give me something, right? And so, how am I able to do all this and it not mess up? So anything with a dash like that, I didn't do this. GPT did, but is a comment. So that's a comment. These are all comments. The real magic is obviously here. And then these are the data structures where they're separated by commas. And then you're going to see it's going to end in a semicolon. It's just that's SQL, right? And so what do we do here? So how do we seed it? I didn't show you guys. So it's SQL is pretty much like very, very literal, right? Insert into this table, first name, last name, age, and grade. And this is the order of operation. This is positional. So it is looking first name. It's going to say that's the first name. So if you get these backwards, then it's going to say whatever's here, and these lines are the first names. Second's last name, age, and grade. So it's positional, if that makes sense. These arguments are positional. And then so you're just saying, okay, we're going to insert into student table these things positionally, and then it's like values. And the values are just to follow. So after the values, you could, drop all your values in, but make sure you're using, see if you notice how this is the same structure as this. The only difference is after there's a comma and then these guys are in quotes, but then you see this integer is not, this is just saying these are not integers. This is text. This is a string. So I hope that's working for you guys. I like this stuff too much. I nerd out on this stuff a lot. Sorry. Okay. All right. Okay. Now, let me see. All right. So, okay. Yeah. Now, so we've got our database all set up. So PostgreSQL is good now. But what we've got to do now is jump back to the Python side. Because, yeah, we've got this connection string, which I'll have to change, but I want to let it fail first. And then we've got a couple routes, but this is awesome, right? If we can get at these students, but we don't have anything in Python that actually like models our database. So this is just a route. You can put some logic in here, but so what we got to do is we got to create a class called students. These are just models, and you'll notice that the model will follow kind of how we seeded this, where did I show that seed command? So we have first name, last name, age, and grade. If you look at the class students, you'll see, oh, there's the ID, right? But then there's the first name, the last name, the age, and the grade. So the ID is how I was showing you guys in that relational schema, how if you look at the social security number or you look at the employee, there'll be an ID and it's unique. And so that's key. You need that unique ID. Um, so pretty much all models will have a unique ID. All right, so you're going to go ahead and we're going to grab that class student model and we need to drop that into our code. And then we got to figure out where the heck in our code do we drop it, right? It's the same kind of thing. I'm going to drop it here after my routes. All right. Yeah, and make sure this matches your database name. All right, so I've sorry, database table name, right? So this is not your database, this is the table. So make sure it's not students, it's student. All right, and then we're going to change our route a little bit that we created. So we're not going to use this route. Sorry about the alarms, guys. I live downtown Chicago, right by a fire truck station, so it gets a little loud here. All right, so now we've created this new route. It looks a lot different, a little bit different than what we created before. This is all the same, and this is the same, but then it gets a little different here. Actually, I wish I would have kept the other one there. I'm going to leave the old one there for comparison for a second. All right, so you'll see like these first two lines are pretty much the same, right? Exactly the same. But then here, we just return a JSONified students object. This students object, we had hard coded it. Well, we don't have that anymore. So we need to create it. And how do we create that? Well, we're going to create students here and we're going to make it equal student.query.all. Now you see this is our database, not the table. This is the database. So this is like, okay, we need to go hit this database and then query all. So we're going to pull everything in. There's a ton of different methods that you can use, but this is one that we're going to do. This is basically a get all. All right. And then and we're going to create a student list. And what's the student list? So this has been created, right? And then the next bit of chunk of logic is the student list is going to use this. And it's going to be like, okay, ID, and then it's going to be like the student dot ID. So it's going to grab the first student and their ID, their first name. So this is, you'll see how this looks. This is an ID, not an ID. This is just basically a tag, right? And then this is the key for the most part, and this is your value that you're going to get. And this is going to run through the entire student's table, and it's going to basically create this object for us, right? And then it's going, once that's done, then it's going to go for student and students, JSONify that, right? So this is a bit of logic. This is really, really where a lot of your guys' challenges will take place. You'll be doing all kinds of different logic here. This is just getting all. But what if you wanted to get like a specific subset, right? You could have that query here. So right now, whenever somebody goes to students, it's going to just get all the students. But what if we wanted to do like students, I don't know what that age was, but 50, right? Or like GE50. Terrible name. That's a horrible route. But the idea is being this is if you go here, we want to see all the students that are greater than or equal to 50, right? Well, this wouldn't do it. This is just going to pull everything in. So your logic's going to look different here. You might query them all and then do some sort of filtering here, or you might, in your logic here, make that happen where you just pull over only the ones that are over 50. There's two different ways to do this. One's more efficient than the other, but whatever. You guys can just make it happen, make it happen. It doesn't matter if you're efficient or not. So that's what's going on here. Different logic, but the idea is this guy is going to hit our database, pull everything in, JSONify it. So now we will see if that works. Okay, we need to do the explanation here. So we define a student's class as a model that represents the student's table. All right, so models represents tables. That's what it means. The get students, right? Does it even say get students? No, it's the get students route queries. What really ours is the student. I'm going to just change that. Like I said, bear with us, guys. We're gonna We're only in like our third or fourth iteration of this curriculum, so there's always going to be little issues and big issues. Um, so I changed that to match the explanation because it kind of makes sense. Get students. All right, it's all that changes is what we type into the browser. So the get students route queries the database using this capital student, right? So right here, dot query dot all. And then to retrieve all students and converts the results into a list of dictionaries before returning it as a JSON. So with these changes, your Flask server is now connected to the PostgreSQL database. When you run the server, if it will serve student data from the PostgreSQL database. To retrieve student data, we're going to just do this now. Yeah. And I like what they say at the end there. Sure, you can pull this data from the browser like a chump, or you can hit that URL with a curl request like a champ. I don't disagree with that statement. It's not curls are nice, but for now, you can do that on your own time. Just hit the browser. All right, so going back down here. Oh, I hate this bar. Go away. All right, so I'm in my SQL terminal still, right? So I need to get out of here. To exit. Never remember. All right, so then we're going to spin up our. I'm going to probably get an error, I think. Yeah. System endpoint gets. Oh, because I got to get rid of this. I left that in there to show you guys the differences. But that is the beauty of this. Again, that having your debug on just makes life so much better. Error codes are your friend. Okay, we're running. I still don't think we'll hit the database because I'm pretty sure this has got to change, right? So let's see what happens. And we'll be able to see that though. And I know it's not students, it's what I named it. I renamed mine. You guys don't need to rename yours. You can stick with students. I renamed it to match the explanation. All right, so I do get students, and it did bring something up, then we got an error. But again, errors are your friends. All right, so what the heck happened? It's like, oh, connection failed. Right here, it tells you username does not exist. Right? So you don't need to freak out about error codes when you see these big, long error codes. Generally, you typically want to do one of two things. Check the top or just scroll to the very bottom. If it's not there, then you can dig into the code or into the error. It'll probably tell us down here too. Yeah, username doesn't exist. I have the wrong creds in my Python code. And so here, and if I do, I think I did lowercase. All right. But I'm not going to change the password yet. Should still get an error. It didn't. How did it take my password? Oh, did I name it? No, I thought I named it password 123. Hmm. I'm a little confused that that worked, but okay, it worked. All right, so here's all of our people. Are they all in there? Looks like it. Yeah. Yeah, there's Loki. He got a C. Big surprise. All right, so let's see here. And I could curl that. Still trying to figure out how that password worked. I thought I changed the password to password 123. All right, so I just curled it. Same thing, right? It's giving me the same information. Okay. Let's get this last little chunk here, and then I'll take some questions and we'll talk some more. We'll get on our break. All right, so creating models. And this little piece down at the bottom I feel is a little discombobulating, but whatever. So models in Flask are created using SQL Alchemy's declarative syntax. So each model class corresponds to a table in the database with class attributes representing columns. So let's take a look at an example. So it's saying class genre. So this seems like it's going back to that schema at the top because it was talking about genres. And it's basically saying if you wanted to create another model, just like we did with student, this one would be genre ID, and genre name. And then it's basically saying the ID is an integer and the genre name is a string that can be no more than 20 characters. That's all that that means there. Again, I feel like that was kind of plugged in unnecessarily, but the next part is important. So interacting with models through API views. So views and API views in Flask allow us to interact with models and retrieve data from a database. We've done that. We can define routes that correspond to specific endpoints and perform CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. It's like huge. So if you haven't ever heard of CRUD, that's massive. You can have your whole career just be doing that if you want to be a database administrator. So So yeah, you do CRUD operations on the database. For example, the all genres or the get students function retrieves all genres from the genre table. So this is the part that's important here. The passing arguments, sorry guys. This is the part that's actually want to like learn. So you passing arguments through views. So like API version one and then a name, right? So Flask allows us to find routes that accept parameters in the URL. So we can pass arguments through views to filter data based on specific criteria. You guys will do this in your challenge. So for instance, get employee by partial name. Again, I feel like it's going back to that schema. This right here, and this is also like Kim, Mike, I don't know about you guys, I'll just bring this up and let you guys can decide whatever you think. But I feel like this is going with this, this, and this, and it doesn't match anything else in the lecture, right? So this is all about from here up, it's like students, 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 all about the students. Actually, I love this lecture, but then this should be a student's schema. And then why are they going back down and talking about that old schema here? So sorry, guys, this is a little confusing, but don't worry about it. The idea is, for example, and I'll give you like a quick little look. Like, so when I go to my get students, right? And this isn't going to work, but if you wanted to pass a parameter, it would look something like, so we want a method that will return back to say everybody that's below 50, right? Well, you could just have something like 50 here. So whatever number gets passed here could be 30. You could pass whatever you want. You can choose it. And then that number will get passed on and that will be used in the logic in the Python. So that's the idea of, this takes, and so always people get confused. What's a parameter or what's an argument? A parameter, it'd be like, so this is like an age thing, right? So the parameter is called age, right? But the argument is the actual thing that gets passed in, like 50, right? So this is the kind of stuff that you guys again will be doing in your challenges, and this is really where stuff gets like powerful. Again, like this is again, I call it the money makers because this is how you make money in tech is knowing this kind of stuff.
Chad,
Yeah.
real quick. So basically what I'm hearing you say, you want the schema to match what's actually being used in the guide.
Yeah, I mean, you got. I'm not trying to like bark orders or anything, but I just wanted maybe you guys could take a look and see if you're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. Where so if you see here this section here, so passing arguments, which the content's good, it just
Okay.
doesn't match what we did. So like this part here
Mhm.
seems to go with this schema here,
Okay.
which talks about like employees and social security numbers and all. Here's that ID, guys. I was talking about that. See how everything has an ID, 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 ID. Everything has to have an ID, or you can't join these tables. Yeah, and then we go into like the student stuff, which I really like this part. Well, it actually talks a little bit about here. So it's like right. Where does it start? Here, section 3, all the way through until like what is a model is all about the students portion. And then this is just seemed to be like, it's almost like the students part got put right into the middle of this other lesson that was already there.
Ah, I see. I
Yeah.
see now.
Thi-
It's using two different schemas and
yeah,
two different
yeah,
tables. Okay.
yeah.
I might have a question then for you. Do we want the schema to be off of the games or off the students?
I
And
think
I can work
students. I think
students. Okay.
students, yeah, because this is a little too complicated, not too complicated. This is just like a little advanced. We're having a students table here.
Mm,
would be nice. And it's very simple, right? It's like it would just be like one of these. And I think that's what they were trying to do. They want to show relations, but we could do
okay.
that. We could have like a student and then classes, right? So that's like employee shifts. So we have the employee, which would be student, and it's what we have ID, and then we have name, age, and grade, and then we can list like okay the classes that they have, right? And so then we could have two tables. This I feel like it's too many to begin a schema lecture for people that have never seen this before, and then
Okay.
it doesn't match the students. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I I understand. I will discuss this with Kim as well, and we'll have it done.
Oh, cool, man. Cool. And if you guys need me to help, let me know. I appreciate that. I
Okay.
think that will tighten it up. And then, so this is back to like normal, guys. So again, these aren't like, don't not read these. Just realize that this is talking about not the students section that we were talking about, but all this is still very, very, very valid. You could literally plug in the stuff we've been talking about, students and student table, and it'd be the same. All right. So again, this is going to help you guys with your challenges. So we did the basically the get all kind of thing, but so you have a bunch of different querying models. So these are functions in themselves, right? So the all retrieves all, and that's what we were using, right? I think that's what we're using. Let me make sure. Yeah, we're using all. And you see how it's on my screen, it's linted and it's a different color. I'm colorblind, so I don't know. Is that like purple or something or blue? So you can tell that is a function, right? That's a SQL function, or that's a Python function that interacts with SQL. And so you've got that one here, but then you've got this one, and let's just screw it. Let's just try this. These are all things that you can use to do different cool stuff, right? So this is getting it by a key, um, and this is filtering records using pattern matching, filtering records based on a specific field value. I'm just going to do this one just to show you these are interchangeable. But I don't want to, I want you guys to, to be able to work with this on your own. Learn. All right, and I added that there. Did I break my Flask? Yeah, see, right when I did that. So if you guys are working on these and your Flask app is running, again, I'll say it for like the fifth time because I did it multiple times. If you're editing it while it's running and you make a little error, it's going to kill you. It's going to kill your Flask app. No big deal. Just start it back up. All right. So now when we go here, it should give us the very first entry in the SQL database, which was, well, it actually will be here, I think. I don't know how it actually, I think it just gets entered in as it's sent in. So it should be Peter Parker. Oh, what is wrong? Oh, So I'm trying to run logic. If you see, like we're filtering here, right? We're running a loop and blah, blah, blah. We don't need all that. So I should be able to just comment that out and then return. And I don't need to just sonify it, I don't think, but see how it's trying to, this is what I was going to talk about afterwards too. Um, a better way to code, I think. I think it's a way better way to code and learn. All right, so let's see if this works. Probably, again, it probably stopped the server. Yeah, because I made an error. Now, this should work, students. Yeah, yeah, this should work. No, oh, I'm trying to JSON just to JSONify that. String, but it was a student. Wow. I might let you guys debug this on your own. Return must be a string to response instance. So what am I returning? So what would this be?
Would you take out the parentheses for return?
Ah, who said that?
Nick.
Cam? Is that Cam? Nice. Nice catch, Cam.
But that might be one
No,
of
I think you're I
several
think you're
errors.
right. I totally think you're right. Why do we need those brackets if we're not running a function on it, right? So totally good call. Shows me how much I'm no.
I broke it even
Why?
more.
Oh, you know why? You know why though? Because
You also
again,
have
it's
a
the same
print
thing. Yeah,
statement,
I got to
27.
restart yep. It's got to start this guy again. I totally think you're right. Cam for the win. No,
Hmm. Yeah, you had a
Um,
print statement in there too. Do you need that?
well, print statement should actually print. I was
Mm.
trying to see. I don't want to waste too much of your guys' time. You know, if you're really, really stuck, I don't want you guys doing this though. Is you could just take this to GPT. You could, without cheating too much, you could do something like this. So I don't think this is too much of a cheat. Help me with this error. I'm not even going to give it the function yet. I just want to get an idea of what the error is. If that's completely fine and legit, right? So yeah, it's the idea of serializing. We're getting something from a database and we need to serialize that. So that is the idea. And we serialized it basically via the you know how we were yeah, okay, I see what's going on.
JSONify.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm not going to fix this because I think this is exactly the kind of stuff you guys are going to be doing. So I think this would be perfect to, yeah, I think this would be, that's getting it by ID, right? And see, this is the idea. This is where you would, when this is an I'm sorry, this is a parameter, right? But then when you pass that ID in, it becomes an argument. So I'm not going to fix it. I want you guys, because you're going to be doing exactly the same kind of things, and I guarantee you're probably going to see the same kind of error. But you could get that to work. The idea is getting this to basically respond with or pull the first student from that table. I kind of want to make it work. Oh yeah, there's a print there and it isn't doing anything. I wanted to print students. That's what I was trying to do. I wanted to print this object out just to see what it looks like. So I could see printing. Hmm, interesting. So here's our debugger. I see I do this. Now I just want to fix this, but I'm not going to. All right, I think we're good. Um, how you guys doing? I'm going to stop our recording if I can find it. And then,
Chad, I had a question.
sure.
The is it the forward slash students or backslash students? Forward slash students, right? I kind of see that as like a potentially a separate page. Like if you click on a button, it sends you to forward slash students or something like that, right?
Yeah,
So like
exactly. Exactly. So are you thinking like, okay, so let me, I know this is broken still. Let me just fix it so we have something to look at.
my question is, say you have like several of these forward slash students
A bunch of
for a
routes,
reason.
right? Yeah.
When you're writing like these, it could be like long scripts, right? Do you potentially like section these out for like pages?
Okay, so you're talking about the routes?
No. Like we had app.py. Could we, what's like the common thing to do where like say you have like several of these like potential other things like for backslash students or backslash grade, right? Do you create like separate
So
.py files or you
yeah,
just put it
yeah,
all in
yeah.
one?
Yeah, you're thinking the right way. So we start this way just to kind of give you guys the most simple, like yeah, just we start real simple. And you're totally right. So when you write Python apps, right? So these routes would all get pulled out and they would live in a routes .py file. There's
.py.
actually other ways to do it, but that's how I do it, right? So yeah,
Okay.
you do make your stuff modular and then things get pulled in, right? So that's where imports happen. So exactly, you're totally right. Because not like, so say you have like 20 or 30 routes
Mm-hmm.
and then you don't want one big huge pie file, right? Because this
Mm-hmm.
makes it really, it's cool when you start. So I do suggest if you start writing, you start on one pie file and you maybe start with one or two routes is good. And then you get things kind of like seated and working, and then you start ripping stuff out and then making it more modular. Um,
Okay.
Now, a lot of people will just start modular from the very beginning, but I
Mm-hmm.
do think there is benefit from starting like this and then making it modular so you kind
Mm-hmm.
of see how it works. But yeah, that's totally right. And then yeah, these are buttons, and they're like the way we're doing like curls, or we're going to like an endpoint, right? We're going to this like endpoint. But
We can't
what
see
you
your
would do is
screen.
like pressing a button, and then it would be taking you here.
Mm-hmm.
or filling out a form and then hitting enter, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. What it broke here.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course, of course. I'm still in like debug mode. But yeah, that's a great question. Any other questions? Has anybody else, I'm sure there's some people out there that have worked with Flask before. Any web developers? If you're a web developer, you probably work with Flask. Yeah. Yeah. And like this, some people think, oh, well, it's just web development. No, actually, Flask is very much like if you want to build APIs, like this is the way to go. Like if you think about it, somebody has a form that they fill out, right? They hit enter on that form. Your logic parses that and then sends it to your database, right? Or send it to your API. So the API is basically like this processing brain that processes everything and then shoots it off to your database. And that API can work both ways, right? It can send information to the database and it can retrieve information from the database. So yeah, it's one thing people hear, oh, it's a web server. Yeah, it's a web server. It makes things happen on the web, gives you something in the browser. But really, the magic of Flask is what you guys are doing. Again, is that's why I want to get you guys to work. Is creating the logic in your applications that do really cool stuff. Yeah, it's fine to get a full list of things, but it's much, yeah. And this
Can
is
you
just showed you Git, right? So you've got Git, right? That's just getting things. Then you've got post, right? And there's like put. It's like there's post is like creating something new. Put I think is like update. But it's all these different methods. Actually, I think I have a list here you guys want to see. And then I really quickly actually want to show you guys something really fast and then let you guys work. So yeah, there are so I showed you guys Git, right? But then there's like post, that's new, that's creating something new. It's like you want to create something in your database, create a new student, right? How do you create a new student? You do it with a post. If you want to update a student that's already there, you use a put. And I never use patch, it's a partial update. I always just use put. If you want to delete something, right? And then these are some that are not used as often, but I threw them in there. And these are some very uncommon methods that I just threw in there. URL generally, these are what I would say these and maybe not patch. Get, post, put, delete. That's what we're expecting you guys to learn. Again, it's pretty simple. Delete, deletes. Get, you guys know what it means. It just gets everything, or however you filter it. Post, create something new. Put, update something that already exists. All right. And then now to my cool little thing I wanted to show you guys, and then it's time to get to work. I don't know. So I know we have some machine learning people in here, like some legit machine learning data scientists in here, which to me is really exciting. The students that aren't into that should be stoked that we have these people here with us. So I don't know if you guys know who this is, the machine learning folks. I'm not going to try to, I think it's Andrea Karpathy. I don't know how you pronounce it. I'm horrible with pronunciation. So this guy,
You're not sharing your
are you
screen.
showing something? Oh,
ooh,
sorry.
I stopped sharing. Oh, it's paused.
I mean, you're still showing, but it's the that
I
high.
stopped. I stopped the sharing and I didn't stop the recording. That's what I meant to do. All right, I'll stop the recording now.